Welcome back, everybody. Here we go with another thing. Here you go, everybody. This is going to be about the Zulu Empire. Very, very interesting. The Zulus were a small part of the larger Bantu people group of southern Africa, and they're a little famous, and they have there's quite a reason to. They started out as just a small tribe. They did a lot of farming, simple things, setting up a civilization, stuff like that. And war wasn't what you would normally think of. War was more of sport. It was more of, you get your guys, I'll get my guys, we'll stand in a line, we'll throw some stuff at each other, and then we'll go home. Very few losses. Not much would happen, and the victors wouldn't go and slaughter all the people in the village. They wouldn't take all of their land. No. Whoever lost gave up a small portion of their territory. It was a more civilized way of war, so to speak. Well, as time went on, this changed. Eventually the Zulus became a more warrior-like tribe. They took many nearby tribes under their control, vastly expanding their imperial holdings. They had started building their own empire. When a large rival tribe started encroaching in on the Zulu territory, they decided to fight back. And battle after battle, the Zulus were defeated, until they got the enemy troops to march up a massive hill. This was a massive turning point in the war. The enemy's tactics quickly deteriorated as they tried to march up this hill, and they were slaughtered, even though the Zulus were outnumbered over 2-1. All the enemy troops retreated, and the Zulu Empire followed them, all the way back to their homeland, slaughtering their villages, destroying their homes, and killing the wife of the leader of the opposing tribe. As the years went on, leaders in the Zulu Empire would change until a more passive leader took power. He didn't want war as much as the other leaders of the empire. He was a much more peaceful man. Well, eventually the British and Dutch started visiting the South African area. And at first, these were nice. They would sell their cows to the Dutch. They would have nice trading interactions. Eventually, something changed. The Dutch had their land conquered by Napoleon. And the Dutch government requested that the British take all their colonies to prevent the French from getting them. Well, the Dutch settlers in South Africa started to fall into a gray area. They didn't see themselves as being Dutch anymore, but they didn't see themselves as being British either. So they started forming their own identity. Eventually, the British really did not like these people. We'll call them the Boers. They really didn't like them. And they started pushing them further out of the new British colony in South Africa, into Zulu territory. Well, the peaceful Zulu leader, he signed a treaty with the British establishing the borders of the empire. Well, when the British realized that the Zulus were letting the Dutch stay within their territory, the British started encroaching further and further. And eventually, a new Zulu leader took power. He was fed up with this. And he invaded neighboring lands. And the British didn't like this. They saw this as an encroachment on their own territory. So the British decided to retaliate. Eventually, the first attempt they made at attacking the Zulus completely failed. They couldn't even find them. And eventually, they had to rely on local militias to do it. As time went on and the war expanded, the British sent a truly massive force. This became the battle. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it was a massive battle. The British were completely destroyed. And the other half of the remaining British force in the area, when they got wind of this, they were very frightened. So they dug in and hunkered down for the imminent Zulu attack. The Zulu outnumbered them greatly. But the difference was in the weapons. The British, on the left, were armed with rifles, whereas the Zulus were mainly armed with spears, clubs, and shields, which offered no protection from the bullets that were being fired at them. Eventually, the Zulus would attack, and it would fail. And they would attack again, and it would fail. They would keep attacking, and attacking, and attacking. And the British were slowly losing men, but not as fast as the Zulus were. Eventually, the Zulus stopped, the war ended, and not long after that, the Zulu Empire collapsed.